Like most preachers, I have indeed cured sleeplessness in some people. I've watched it happening. But I've also suffered from sleeplessness. Not often, thank God, but from time to time. And the most remarkable experience of sleeplessness I ever had isn't really a bad story. In fact, it's a grace story. This occurred when Sandy and I were still driving trucks. Sandy drove at night and I drove during the day. So I'd finished my 10 or 11-hour shift of driving, and Sandy had taken over behind the wheel, and I was in the sleeper berth. And being in the sleeper berth and trying to get to sleep is a wonderful experience, kind of being rocked to sleep. Usually not a problem at all, just boom, out like that. But this particular night, it was not happening. I was not getting to sleep. And you'll notice I am making no smart remarks that the reason I couldn't get to sleep is because I was so uncomfortable knowing that Sandy was driving the truck. Of course, I didn't say that. First of all, because she watches these videos and I'd like to be able to go home safely, but also because she was a much better driver than me. I had nothing to worry about, and I wasn't worried about her driving. I might have worried about her getting lost, which was a real serious reason to worry, but I wasn't. I just couldn't get to sleep. But by the grace of God, I stumbled upon doing something which maybe would be obvious to other people, but it hadn't been to me. And I started just praying for everyone I knew. I started with that girl up there in the front seat, and then prayed for my mom and dad and for our kids and their spouses and their kids. And then I moved out to siblings and spouses and kids and cousins and their kids. And you can see how the circle just keeps growing. And not everyone who I prayed for even had a name. I would think of someone who was maybe that guy who sat 2/3 of the way back at the Grove Street Church on the right-hand side. I never knew his name, or I couldn't recall it. But everyone who came to mind, I prayed for. It was just kind of what I did. And the more I did it, the more I did it. It just grew and grew and grew and grew. The more people I thought of, the more people came to mind. Now, in truth, even though I say this was a graced experience, and it was not entirely a comfortable experience. Some of those relationships were troubled relationships. Some of them were alienated. In some, as I was praying for them, I was able to forgive them things that they had done. And in many, I came to realize areas where I had caused hurt and problems that I hadn't even been aware of, or that I had previously justified to myself. And only in those quiet moments praying for them in that sleeper berth did I realize my culpability, the sin that I had been involved in, that had wounded our relationships. Now, many of them were long past retrieving, and there wasn't anything practically I could do, but I could pray, and I did, and it was a wonderful experience. And so here we are, physically isolated from each other, and yet we're still bound to each other. So why not try that? Why not take time in your prayer life during this period of physical isolation to start with that close circle of relationships and lift those people up and those relationships up into the presence of God, giving thanks, offering forgiveness where necessary, loving them from a distance in the presence of God. Prayer is nothing more than lifting up our experience in the conscious awareness that God is with us, in us, and through us. So try that. See what difference it might make in your relationships with each other and with God. And see if it doesn't bring about an experience of life and hope and peace. I'm your slipper-shod pastor, Lynn Morgan, pastor of St. Matthew's United Church of Christ. And I bid you peace, my friends. Amen.